A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K. Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show, where we've got a bit of a new look.
You're coming to you pre-recorded from the A2theK Studios, which is
beautiful.
Fucking awesome.
It's beautiful. Look at these bricks.
And to quote Lizzo, it's about damn time.
It is indeed. And do you know what else it's about damn time for, Anthony?
Go on.
Some news. So without further ado,
let's do it.
Coming up tonight on the Ringside Report. Bit long. So the Young Bucks have reached out to WWE about potential move.
Mickie James has expressed an interest in fighting Sasha Banks in a retirement match.
Bradley Cooper potentially set to play Ric Flair in an upcoming biopic.
Is the legend Rikishi teasing a WWE return?
Perhaps. Noelle Foley gives an update on her concussion, and it's not due to wrestling.
Control Your Narrative has seemed to have cancelled all of its upcoming dates.
Bret Hart finally gets inducted into the Calgary Walk of Fame.
Has Edge been written off WWE TV?
Mindy's Bakery gets a heap of reviews after CM Punk mentioned her on the AEW media scrum.
Bradford Church of Wrestling will be featured on BBC.
Indeed. Some of the major AEW stars that have been suspended have now been removed from the upcoming Full Gear poster.
And multiple WWE title belts or whatever they call them now are set to be redesigned.
Thank fuck. Anthony, when's all that coming up?
It's all coming up right fucking now.
Yes, it is. So, without further ado, right, skipped ahead too far. That's how excited I am.
Of course.
So, let's talk about the Young Bucks, Anthony.
Let's talk about the Young Bucks, Carl.
As we know, one of the cornerstones of AEW, they are EVPs, and they also like to fight in the background, apparently.
That is true. That is true.
So, obviously, they have been suspended, but the breaking news is, apparently, they have reached out to people within WWE about a potential move.
Now that, I don't know what you make of this, Carl, but for me, this may be sort of blown out of proportion by recent events. When you're in that sort of business, your contracts come to an end. I think, is it 2023 their contracts rather than
2024? Two bit more than 2024,
okay.
Potentially.
So, for me, I think, is this just not trying to get yourself the best deal in your career? This seems like the type of thing that you'd do anyway. If you want to leverage a new deal with AEW, for instance, you'd want to know what the other offers are out there. So is it, exaggerated by the current animosity situation?
Possibly. There was also rumours Kenny Omega did the same when he was out with injury as well. So maybe it's just something that wrestlers tend to do when their contracts are coming up. It's as you would do.
This is one of the things. These guys are so famous for being independent. I remember seeing a thing a little while back about how they were as a trio anyway, they were the only ones who weren't part of the WWE brand who were Funko Pops. This is before AEW's time, and this was like a big achievement to be so famous as independent wrestlers that you sort of achieve that sort of merchandise and that sort of level. And I think the fact that they're so famous being, the independent guys, would it be a bit strange for them to even go to WWE? Is this? I know it's one of the things. Was like, imagine, it'd be really surreal. But in terms of a fan base, is it going to be kind of like, are they going to alienate some of their fans who are like, you've sold out, kind of thing?
Maybe. Especially the hardcores. You got your I'm pro WWE and I hate AEW and vice versa. So very interesting. But the Wrestling Observer, not Uncle Dave this time. It's actually Ryan Frederick.
Ryan.
Hey Ryan. He wrote on the F4W board that obviously they haven't signed new deals. Their options were picked up, however, which is why they're going to be kept there till 2024. They did reach out to talent to send some feelers out about whether they'd be interested in.
Kinky.
Well, they are the Young Bucks, aren't they? About coming in when their deals are up. But obviously on both sides, that's what everyone's going to do, is what he's saying. But they've reached out to talent, sending feelers out about coming in. They said they told They said they talked to anyone direct at WWE. That quote doesn't make sense. But
they'll only speak to people indirectly.
Yes, just indirectly. But yeah, I think they don't want to kind of get into that contract tampering situation, of course. But yeah, they're definitely sending the feelers out there. And obviously their contract's coming up, similar to MJF 2024.
Fucking hate that. I hate that term.
I know, yeah.
I mean,
although that's trendy now, isn't it? You can get your feelers out and your Reeboks and your Nikes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You know, all the sports
trendy.
Yeah.
I mean, the other big thing I want to ask you, Carl, is when it comes to AEW, if say hypothetically 2024 comes along, they were to leave, and maybe even Kenny Omega, what do you think that would mean for AEW? These are the guys who essentially made it what it is today. For them to jump ship, this could be pretty damning.
I mean, a lot of the AEW diehards are diehards for the Elite and for, originally Cody and for the likes of Jericho that started that company off. So the more and more of your original guys that go, then that is going to cause people issue. But then you've got, on the other side of the fence, people are fuming that CM Punk's been suspended. They want him to be there and stuff like that. So I don't know what the right balance is, but imagine we live in a timeline where we've got the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega against the Bloodline at some point. Like, who could have saw? I didn't have that on my 2023 or 24 bingo card.
No, definitely not. But hey, the crazy world of wrestling.
The crazy world of wrestling, indeed. So, what's the next one we're talking about?
The next one, Carl. It's a fun little exchange, but it does make you go, okay, what's going on here? So, as a lot of people know, Sasha Banks has been out of WWE for some time. She's been pursuing some outside endeavours. We're not really sure what the WWE situation is in terms of, apparently they walked out. Is it a storyline? Is she coming back? There seems to be a lot of belief that she's coming back. However, she has been filling her time with some outside ventures. A lot of people might have noticed that she did, forgive me, I'm not up with the modelling world, but she did some sort of catwalk modelling.
Really?
I know. You obviously assume.
Exactly, stylish guy.
But she did some catwalk modelling quite recently and put on Twitter. It was a big experience of her. She actually likened it to her debut in wrestling in terms of like the nerves and that sort of thing. But in response to her Twitter post, Mickie James has expressed an interest in wanting to fight her. Even playfully referencing Batista, I believe, saying "Give me what I want" kind of thing.
Nice.
And the suggestion is, Carl, that this would be almost a part of Mickey's retirement tour. Potentially, could even be the last match, because I think the understanding with Mickey's career at the moment is this is a sort of, did she refer to it as her last rodeo? And she's going to keep going until she loses a match now.
Yeah.
So, firstly, it could be the possibility that she may be coming back to WWE for a match. And, would Sasha be a good choice for the person who retires Mickie?
Well, I mean, as I said, I would like to see that match. I wouldn't say never with WWE. She came back this year at the Rumble while being the Knockout champ. So,
and do you know what? The relationship situation is probably even better now than it was.
This is true. So, obviously, Johnny Binbag's gone, hasn't he? There's
old Johnny Binbag.
Johnny Binbag.
Wait, hang on. Isn't that one of John Morrison's names?
I think it might be, actually, when he debuted for Binbag Pro Wrestling. So, yeah, it's definitely, I would say the door is open there. I mean, firstly, the fact Mickey's going on her last rodeo now is kind of surreal. It's going to be a shame to, when she hangs them up. But I think Sasha would be a fantastic final opponent. And I don't know, will it be in WWE? I still can't imagine Sasha wrestling anywhere else, to be fair. So,
I mean, Sasha is, like, to me, she's a WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be really strange if she went anywhere else. And I don't think the relationship's as bad as people are thinking it is. Like, there's a lot of speculation. They walked out and they were disgusted and this and actually,
especially now with Triple H. As you said, it was Vince who didn't want to push the women's tag divisions and stuff. And as you've seen, they're getting more.
But bear in mind, like, this is a company that historically hasn't even let them do cameo, right? And yet she can do modelling, movies, all sorts. It feels to me like I still think this is a storyline. Like, they've walked out. It's a weird one to do. She's having some time doing her own thing, and that's with their blessing, because I imagine contractually they try and stop her from doing those sort of things. So I don't know.
Interesting.
But, Mickie wants Sasha, and we want that match.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
And speaking of things that we want, why not? I would like a Ric Flair.
I was a little. Speaking of things that we want, and you put up a picture of Bradley Cooper and Ric Flair. Like,
well, in the sha-la-la-la-la, that's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, it's been rumoured that, I think it's actually been revealed now, but Ric Flair has said that they are doing a upcoming biopic about his career, and I believe Bradley Cooper is one of the names on that list, and he's very prominent on that list.
Apparently he's quite excited about it. He was close to saying, "Woo!"
Oh, interesting. I mean, that's just perfect for the
Bad
role,
joke,
really.
do you know what? I'm picturing this cinematic WWE universe where Chris Hemsworth is Hulk Hogan and Bradley Cooper is Ric Flair. You know, I mean, what else have we got? This is insane.
It's a hell of an IP, that, isn't it?
Know,
to be honest.
Come on, Disney.
Yeah. Well, when you buy them, that's what you should do. But Rick on his podcast, I always forget what it's called. Is it The Man or something? I can't remember.
I'm going to call it Wooing with Rick.
Wooing with Rick. That's what it should be called. He has said there's talks right now that I can't mention. They're making a movie about my life, and I know that they've talked to Bradley Cooper. So
auditions are just people coming in and windmilling.
Yeah. Okay, so take off your robe. Yep. Okay.
How do you feel about planes?
Terrible people. So yeah, he's basically said he knows that they talked to Bradley Cooper about it, and he could see him playing him in the movie. So
I'm not saying Bradley Cooper is a bad actor when I say this, right? But I honestly can't picture him doing something so.
Do you think so? I don't know. You know, I think early in his career he was kind of like in The Hangover and stuff like that. He was very much just like a.
I think he was, yeah.
But like when he's done stuff like damn it, like A Star Is Born and stuff like that he's done, Silver Linings Playbook, I think he's shown he's got acting chops. So
I know he's got acting chops, but do you not think I know he's how do I put it? Like even in The Hangover, which is a comedy and it was relatively silly, he wasn't exactly an over the top character.
No.
And Ric Flair is very much an over the top character. So I just in my mind. And I probably won't be able to see it until it hits the silver screen, but I just cannot picture him doing the strut and wooing and talking about being a wheeling, dealing, jet plane, flying, motorcycle. I don't know what he says. But you get me points. I don't know.
It's hard to picture anyone but Ric Flair living that
lifestyle. I think that actually might be the problem. It might not even be a Bradley Cooper thing. Who would do that? Who could do that?
This is true. But yeah, hell, I'd love to see. I mean, what a career he's had, what a life he's had. Yeah. So yeah, it could be a fascinating movie.
I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised that, given the recent controversies, that people are talking about making a movie about Rick. I'm not saying don't make a movie about Rick. I would definitely watch it. I just thought they might want to let a little bit more time pass.
Yeah. Well, it's one of how much time needs to pass these days. It changes with
all the time, Carl.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? It's like someone can do something awful, but then give it a year, and then all of a sudden it's all forgotten about. And it's like with Rick, he had all this controversy with the Dark Side of the Ring stuff. And then obviously he's had his last match, and it was all this had the Undertaker there and Bret Hart there, and it's all God, Rick, and it's just that's forgotten about now. So
that's true.
That's how it happens.
Not to digress, I've just noticed our wall of pictures. How good's that?
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, just some of our friends. You know, well, that's my personal favourite right there. Naturally. I'm going
to see if I can get this right. That one over there. This is difficult, guys. That one,
considering on the show, reporting news a second ago about it.
Sorry. Anyway,
so what is the next one? That is the
Rikishi Khan. Now this is a very slight tease. So we recently obviously saw Solo Sikoa debut on the main roster because he's an NXT guy and still is.
Yeah. I don't know. Spoilers, new North American champion.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know what they're doing there. But he debuted at Clash of the Castle, rocked up and was like, nah, no one's taking my cousin's titles. You know.
Yeah, I should do. Yeah.
And then he's obviously recently been on SmackDown with his actual brothers. I don't know I'm saying it like that. Not Roman, his actual brothers. But his brothers, the Usos. And a cheeky little tweet come from Rikishi saying something's missing. Now, a lot of people are speculating, is he referring to himself? Is he going to be making a comeback? I mean, this may be a bit of a leap because, to be honest with you, Roman was missing.
He was.
That was the something. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case. That just seems like a bit of a lazy tweet if that's what he was getting at. But that could mean any number of things. What do you think it is? He could have been saying a title. He could have been, because this was before he actually won the North American title. Now he's got a belt of his own. Was he just teasing that?
I mean, it could have been, to be fair. Obviously, he would have known that he was winning the belt, so maybe that's just planting the seed there for...
But basically, the news here is Rikishi's a big tease.
He is. I mean, we should have known that based on his shaking his ass every week, shouldn't we? But exactly. It is what it is. So the next one to talk about is a bit of a somber one, really. So obviously, daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley, Noelle Foley, as she took to Twitter this week and basically revealed more about her concussion. Now, a lot of people at the time reported that she was suffering with a concussion due to the wrestling training that she had, and I think she had to go through a lot of kind of scrutiny and people, kind of saying they knew about it all, but it turns out they actually didn't. So she put on Twitter, today marks 3 years since my concussion, 3 whole years. Like, that doesn't even seem real. I've never made this public before, but on September 11th, 2019, at approximately 1:15 p.m, I got my concussion on the Mystery Mine coaster at Dollywood in Tennessee. I never would have thought, I'm going to get an injury and ruin myself on this roller coaster. I can't do any of the things I once loved. All the things I once loved just cause me pain. I truly hope that Dollywood and Dolly herself can do something to make things right.
That is crazy.
Like, wow, to be fair, like, considering the career aspirations she had and everything she was getting involved in, she was wrestling training, she was doing announcing, she was doing loads of, like, media work and stuff like that, and it seems like, with what's happened to her, she can't really carry on doing that anymore, which is
it's strange.
A massive shame.
Like, I don't know, like, obviously it was a bad injury, but it's proper surreal that that's what it was.
Yeah, I just hope, that it's hard to say, isn't it, especially with an injury like concussion, but we know that people can get better eventually, so just hopefully it's not,
that's the thing,
forever thing.
Yeah. With any luck.
Yeah, it's one of them, like, it's the first time, obviously, we saw Noelle was on Beyond the Mat when she was about, 4 years old and stuff, and I think she endeared herself then to many, many people, and she still got that kind of goofy, side to her and stuff like that, and, I think people, really, really like her, really feel for her, so, yeah, hopefully it's, hopefully Dolly would make it right, and hopefully she, gets better soon.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Carl, the next one is, again, it's a bit of an unfortunate one. I don't know how you felt about Control Your Narrative. I mean, personally, I never watched it. Right? No. And I'm not throwing shade at it. I know a lot of people want to be super negative about it, especially when Austin Aries got involved and obviously based around his controversies. But you know what? It's another company trying to do their own thing, and I'm all for, the more the better. Everyone has a home. You know what I mean?
It was different from the typical stuff that you would see. It was a very kind of dramatic and almost theatre-driven approach, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I appreciate, this was the brainchild originally of EC3 and Adam Scher, or Braun Strowman, to those who know him WWE-wise. And, a lot of the cool ideas that EC3 was super proud of, about, apologies for not remembering what it's called, but the narrative, where you get to speak to the wrestler, you get to address the wrestler directly, they had, that narrative bit,
yes,
that element of it,
Yeah.
I know it had an actual name, I do apologise for that. But, the shame here, Carl, is obviously we've seen Braun Strowman return to WWE, and again, I think it was last week we commended how EC3 and Control Your Narrative as a whole put their statements out, sort of supporting Braun, which is fantastic because obviously the whole ethos is controlling your narrative, which is exactly what Braun's doing. But sadly, on the back of this, we now have all the upcoming dates that were previously listed on our website have been cancelled.
Yeah.
Well, I say cancelled, they are no longer listed, so presumably they've been cancelled. There's also the other mention, obviously EC3 has actually said that he's not sure on Control Your Narrative's future, and the other notable name being Sarah Rowe, is actually reported to possibly be heading back to WWE as well. Yeah. So,
they've lost all the big. I mean,
this is the thing, and the big names. Well, Carrion, obviously another prime example, and the big names are the big draw, aren't they? And whilst there's plenty of room for independent companies, that does have an impact financially. So, it will remain to be seen what happens to Control Your Narrative. But again, I'm all for these companies. I'm not going to try and be like, it was stupid anyway or anything like that, because I know a lot of people are quite negative about it, but. It was just another option for wrestling fans, and the more options, the better. The more we can immerse ourselves in the thing we love, the better. So it is it's a shame.
Absolutely. I just hope I hope it's not the end for them. I hope they're just using this time to have a bit of a reset, and just obviously with the mass exit of talent, just try and reposition themselves as what it means to control your narrative and stuff like that. Because that's essentially what it was built on, wasn't it? It was people who felt they were not given opportunities now taking control of their narrative. Whereas if a lot of those have now since moved on to other promotions, what does control your narrative mean to the roster that's there? So. Yeah, it's an interesting one, to say the least. So the next one I want to talk about, Anthony, is finally Bret the Hitman Hart, who we may be slight fans of. Let me just.
Oh, hang on, where is he? There he is.
So he has finally been inducted into the Calgary Walk of Fame. Now, this was an honour he got in 2021. However, he was only actually honoured this week and actually awarded that honour.
Right. So, I must admit, I was surprised he wasn't already there. It's one of them things you just assume one of the Canada's biggest exports as far as wrestling
world's
concerned.
He's loads of different Hall of Fame and stuff, but he just apparently wasn't on the Walk of Fame, which you would,
surprising. You just expect it to be the case, and it wasn't.
Is he on the? I think he's on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, isn't he? So it's mad that he's on there. Everybody's not in Canada's, but
Canada, tough nut to crack.
Indeed. Kind of like with obviously Georgia trying to get Davey on the Wigan Walk of Fame. It's like you think that would just
again, that's another baffling one.
No brainer, right?
He's a WWE Hall of Famer, and the harder nut to crack was Wigan.
Yeah.
When Wigan Council. Yeah,
strange.
Well done, Wigan.
But yeah, so obviously made up for Bret. He said
I feel like the sarcasm might have been too subtle there.
Oh yeah, go on.
Wigan, sort your shit out.
There you go. So Bret quoted as saying he thinks his mum and dad will be looking down, quite proud of this moment. It means a lot to him that everyone's come out for him today, and it's nice to see pro wrestling finally gets a little bit of credit as being a performance art, which it really is. So love that. Made up for Bret, and who's more deserving as a Canadian? He's a Canadian hero, isn't he? At the end of the day, and he's my hero too. Goddamn.
So the next one, Carl.
Yes.
Speaking of heroes and Canadians. No?
Yeah, okay, that works.
Okay, cool.
I know what you're talking about.
So, I'm not sure how I feel about this. So, obviously, for those who have watched wrestling this week, and I imagine if you're watching a show where two people talk about wrestling, you probably have watched wrestling this week. You'll notice that it seems that they're writing Edge off TV. Now, I have no issue with that. And, the whole article's about why. And, for those who are unsure and want the what seems to be an obvious answer is the fact that Edge is part-time as far as his contract goes. So, he needs time off. He may be having a break, going on vacation, whatever he wants to do with that time. But his numbers of episodes are limited. He's not an everyday talent, if you will. Which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. We've seen the likes of Goldberg and Brock and so on do that. The bit I'm annoyed about, and no one else seems to be annoyed by this from what I've seen on social media, is they're writing him off with an injury angle. It's like they did the other 3 times.
Yeah.
How injury prone did they make this guy look?
The thing is as well, it's not even just an injury angle. It's another chair angle. That guy must be fucking shitting himself when he walks past the chair in that place. They're either going to go for his neck, they're going to go for his ankle. They're gonna, how many things has he been off with to do with the chair?
Wanted by it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's ridiculous. Why can't he just...
Can't go past the furniture store. Terrified.
Exactly. It's a real concern. But yeah, I don't get it. Why does it need to be so kind of... let's write him off and stuff. Why can't he just not be there for a bit?
Honestly, this is the thing that bugs me, because I get they've done the Dominic thing, right? But on the back of the victory over Judgment Day, which was the redemption for Edge, he has some time off. Dominic does what Dominic did, Rhea apparently. But Dominic carries on doing this old dark Dominic angle, and maybe wrestles some, talent at his own level before wrestling nothing but legends all the fucking time. Yeah. And then build back to the Edge thing, or even have him wrestle his dad first. But why? They brought him back so that they can we've now really injured Edge. Isn't Dominic evil and Judgment Day evil? It's yes. Yeah. Yes, they are, kind of. Yeah. In a goofy Disney kind of way. Yeah.
Well, I
feel like I reference Disney a lot today. But
yeah, we're not endorsed by Disney.
But you can get a subscription right now for 99 pence.
That's it. Disney Plus. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mickey. So that's Mickey, but not Mickie James. I wish Mickie James was just sat there, just giving us a thumbs up. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. It's not necessary, is it? He's always beaten up and injured and has to go away. Why? Why can't he just not be there for a bit?
And I get it. He needs some time off TV, and that bit's a shame because he's a legend, and the more we can see him, the better. But obviously, pace yourself, because the longer your career can be, the better for us.
Well,
and that's what it's all about. Us.
It's just us as well, not even the rest. Just us. So next thing to talk about is if we're looking for things positives, if you will, that came out of the media scrum, then at least there's this one potentially. Yeah. So as you may remember, while Punk was verbally destroying all of his co-workers and the company and his boss, and just as you do in a post-event media scrum,
as you do.
He did put over 2 people. The first was Izzy, who we know from NXT, and the other one was Mindy's Bakery in Chicago.
Mindy's Bakery,
and apparently,
goddamn.
Well, yeah. Apparently, since he's done this, remarkably, Mindy's Bakery has been absolutely flooded with reviews on Google. A of, I'm guessing, support.
I mean, if you look, most of them are support,
Okay.
but then they're saying something funny.
Right.
Like that quote, we've got a brilliant quote there. It's your article, I'll let you read the quote.
one.
But the most of them are given 5-star ratings and then
Yes.
putting something humorous. There's the odd knob who's putting a bad rating, like she had some sort of control over what Punk does.
What's in the muffins?
I mean, what did she put in the muffins? Because he certainly lost his shit.
Well, yeah,
Muffins to lose your shit over.
That's it. You know, because
Awesome.
I'm really good at, you know, news and, you know, journalism, if that's what we want to call it. I haven't read this article, so just looking at the quote there now. So one of the reviews, look in my eyes, what do you see? A million muffins in front of me.
This one's my favourite. I have to read this one to you guys because I fucking love this. Somebody's put 10 out of 10. It was so good. I got too excited and beat up 3 of my co-workers.
Brilliant.
I love the internet sometimes. I really do. I know it can be a cesspool a lot of the time, but I love it when you take a joke and just fucking run with it. It's awesome.
I love it.
So,
yeah, I can see one of the shitty ones there. This bakery is as good as CM Punk is at fighting.
Yeah, it's like, that's got nothing to do with why you're trying to spam a business with negative. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
even if you're going to say something like that, put a positive review. She didn't do fuck all.
Exactly.
Or, you know, do what you're meant to do and actually go and have some of the muffins and then put a rating based on whether you like them or not.
Well, yeah, that's typically how reviews work, isn't it? But,
Normally.
But, you know, fair play to Mindy, who I'm sure is just, like, overwhelmed.
I'll be honest, I'm nowhere near Chicago, but I'm kind of intrigued myself. Like,
well,
that's what Punk's
do you
done.
want to send some, you know, to the UK? We'll,
I love it.
we'll give it a go.
Come on.
So, next one.
The next one, Carl. So, basically, this is a bit of a shout out to. This is a bit off the cuff here, Carl. So apologies for this one because it's somebody I would really much like to speak to, and I'll address that right now. Gareth Thompson, if you're watching. I'd
call out. I love this.
I know, but I'd love to speak to you on the show because I had a read of this earlier, and this is regarding the Bradford Church of Wrestling, and they're going to be featured on a BBC show, obviously over here in the UK. Presumably, it might be BBC America in the US, but I'm sure there's a way you can get it. But the Bradford Church of Wrestling is just something that seems such a really cool idea and so inspiring. I'm super intrigued, but basically, it's not a mix of wrestling and church. It's called, you know, there's faith involved, so it's like you don't have to be religious to be part of it, but obviously that's where the whole Church of Wrestling thing comes from. Okay. But this has been like something that has been used to help people, like in terms of dealing with their mindfulness, their mental health. And there's just so many different examples in the article that, you know, I won't obviously go into too much details. You'll be able to see it on the BBC show or even from these articles. But, you know, there's a particular chap here who's, you know, he suffered sexual abuse as a child and homelessness as a teenager and, you know, just had basically a really tough run at life, especially in the early years. And they've found the Church of Wrestling that has helped them sort of, you know, build themselves up and get themselves into a better place and just generally help their whole mindset and you know that is something, you know, with all, you know, thinking I'd never be able to understand what they've gone through. I'll admit that, you know, and you realise that how blessed you are when you hear some of the stuff that people have been through. But the fact that this place is not just doing, you know, people love wrestling and they love the entertainment side of it, but the fact that they're doing something with that to help people is just such a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention it not just because obviously it's news, it's wrestling related, it's UK related, because it's absolutely fascinating to me. And, you know, Gareth Thompson obviously is the one who started it or runs it now. And again, I genuinely, you know, I don't know if it's weird that we're talking about it on the show because normally we just email them and stuff. Yeah. But I would genuinely love to speak to him on the show and just get an idea of how this come about and you know what's inspired him to do something like this. But it's an absolutely fascinating idea. And
I think it's mad, isn't it? Because in a way, pro wrestling's the perfect kind of thing for that because it's escapism at its finest, isn't it? You play a character, you get you know, if you're a heel, you're a face, whatever you're doing, you get to go out there and either get support or you get to just like, you know, wind people up and just get a reaction ultimately at the end of the day. So it's wonderful to hear that you can take some shitty situations and just, you know, through wrestling just turn it into a positive spin. So absolutely, let's try and get him on the show. Let's do it.
Definitely. But in the meantime, guys, search up the Bradford Church of Wrestling As I say, there will be a show coming on BBC for anyone who listens to us in the UK or watches us in the UK now in our new studio. You'll be able to catch that on BBC very soon. I haven't got an exact date, but keep your eye peeled for that.
Soon.
Yeah, soon. It literally says soon, so I can't even help. But in the meantime, if you search for the Bradford Church of Wrestling, you get to see a bit more of what they're about. And honestly, it just seems like a fucking really good cause and a really good idea.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I'm going to have to keep my eye out for that myself. So, the next one to talk about is interesting because we might have somewhat of a timeline on the suspensions for the AEW Superstars. And the reason I say this is because it was observed that the original poster for Full Gear has now changed. So on that original poster, you did have CM Punk, you had Kenny Omega, you had the Bucks, all gone. Now, obviously,
Full Gear, we know something.
Well, Full Gear takes place either end of October or early November, so that would put the timeline potentially of the suspensions at quite longer than maybe some thought. I think, so, if you think of Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara stuff, where there's the only other example similar to this that we know of with suspensions, that seems to be like a matter of a week or two, really.
I get what you're saying. This could be them playing it safe. Like, with all the suggestion that, there could be lawyers involved and all this, maybe they're playing it safe and going, we'll remove them off the graphic because we don't know if they're going to be back, which again is still pretty worrying. But at the same time, you don't know because, like, Sammy's suspension, as I recall, didn't have a time on it that he had to go and do, like, a don't be a knobhead program or whatever they called it.
Yes. Sensitivity training.
Sensitivity, that was it. That was the one.
I prefer that.
And it was on the back of the sensitivity training, wasn't it, that he was able to return? So I think it's probably, to my mind, and this is just speculation, but it may be a similar thing where until they hash things out, they're just going to play it safe.
Yeah. Or, maybe they'll make them go on some kind of don't beat your co-workers up at work.
Yeah.
Seminar.
Yeah. It's like a little program they teach them with puppets.
No. This, yes, friends.
No, Phil is eating muffins.
Where are those muffins from? We need to just do that as an advert for Mindy's Bakery, don't we?
I feel like because we've got the announce table thing, we could even do. I might make a little wrestling puppet. Yeah.
Could you imagine that? Just a little puppet pops up. We need to do that when we.
A little punk. I want it. I want that to happen.
Just attacks me and knocks me out of the studio.
And then just starts going on about muffins.
What we need to do, I'll just steal this.
Of course.
You saw nothing.
Saw nothing.
What are we drinking today?
As a lot of you will know from our social media, not only are we now partnered with the wonderful Top Rope Brewery. Okay. Top Rope Brewery. They are a brewery, but
yes, Top Rope Brewing. Yeah.
Not only are we now partnered with them, they are obviously local lads to us. Not to you. Not to you. Sorry.
Maybe to you, but definitely to us.
But so we were super intrigued by a lot of the selection they offered. They were good enough to offer into a partnership with us. You'll actually see on the screen just underneath me the A2theK 10 code for 10% off at Top Rope Brewing. And Carl, I think it was this Tuesday that you put up our Top Rope Tuesday, our first Top Rope Tuesday, which was this one right here. This is Papa Mango.
You may have observed me partaking in this throughout the show in my Top Rope glass.
For those of you who've been watching the show for a few weeks now, we were talking about this starting and the fact that we'd ordered some, and the fact that we were like intrigued. I really want to try this. We're going to try that. I think Carl, you actually drank one last week that we didn't advertise because it was a limited edition, so there was no,
yes,
there's no point teasing people.
Yeah, there's no point.
This one, I will say, is fucking delicious.
It is delicious.
Right? I was hyped for this anyway. If you like the taste of mango, then you're gonna like it. And I thought it sounds like a really good pairing for beer. So I was super intrigued, and it did not disappoint. It was absolutely delicious. We've both been enjoying it as the show's been going on.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend this one. They obviously do different packs. The pack we actually first got was the Clash at the Castle. Yes. So they don't do that particular pack anymore. But the beers themselves they do in various different forms. So you can order just Papa Mango, or you can order a few selections. And we will over the coming weeks be sampling more and talking about more because.
Yes, we will.
Well, we want to drink and talk about wrestling. So it's just perfect.
Who doesn't? But yeah, definitely check these guys out. And as Anthony said, use that code A2theK10. You'll get 10% off.
Yeah.
And, what a selection! Can't wait to sample all the rest.
Yeah,
Gonna
super
be awesome.
intrigued. I think because this was actually my pick. This was I was like, I'm super intrigued. I really want to try this one. I think the next one, correct me if I'm wrong, the next one and the one you were excited about was Cold Stone Cream Muffin.
Yes, I cannot wait
again,
for that.
Sounds awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously inspired by Cold Stone Creamery, the ice cream place, so it's an ice cream flavoured pale ale, so I can't wait. Can't wait to raise some hell.
And they even have a new variant of that.
Not like CM Punk hell.
We haven't got that variant yet, but they have a new variant of the Cold Stone.
Pineapple one, and they got cherry one as well.
I think there's a cherry one I knew about, so I didn't realise it had a pineapple one.
So many
good options. So many great options.
TopRopeBrewing.com. Check it out. Which leads us, Anthony, nicely onto the very last one to talk about this week.
Indeed. So this is, again, there's not a lot of information on this just yet, but there's been rumours from... is this a real name? So,
yes, it is.
So,
I've not,
is this Dave Meltzer's cousin?
Potentially.
This feels false, right? According to Dan Meltzer,
who makes belts, like... What business are you going to get into?
I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure it's like it's a deliberate name he's given himself. Like I can't be his real name. Apologies if it is. It's just massive coincidence to get in the belt making game when your last name's Belter.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, the rumor is right that WWE is looking to change a lot of their titles soon, and notably the ones that have been mentioned by Dan were the WWE Tag Team Championships. Now, what we don't know for sure is whether it's going to be both sets of tag titles or just one set, but we do believe it's going to be the men's and the women's. Now, we don't know what the design's going to be. The belief is it's still going to feature a big WWE logo in some form, but it's exciting stuff. A lot of people are excited for this, and typically we've done this exact same thing where you go, oh, they're going to redesign the belts, this is great, Triple H he's from our era, so he's going to bring back the classic belts. And I've seen it. I've seen people, our friends on social media have done it, where they're showing up pictures of the classic tag belts, and I'm like, that is a dream. I'd love for that to be the case. I don't think it will, unfortunately, but I'd love for them to bring back some of the classic belts. Nostalgia is a big fucking thing. They keep bringing back classic wrestlers, so why not bring back the belts? I want the big gold back. I want the winged eagle back.
Hell yeah.
I want the hardcore title back.
Yeah.
I want the 24/7 title in the bin.
Yeah, set
on fire.
That would be good, yeah. I mean, that's how it could turn into the hardcore title.
Oh, that'd be cool. I like it. So, again, not a lot of great detail yet on how it's going to be or when it's going to be, but it looks like we might be seeing some new style titles soon.
Yeah, I so hope the Intercontinental title. Please.
I
hate that thing.
It's fucking horrible.
The thing is, though, I'm excited for it, but as you said, I'm not going to kind of get too excited for it, because even with what's being described here as, they're going to have the WWE logo on it, I get why they do it, because it's a fantastic branding activity to walk around. They give it to all the, winners of the Super Bowl, winners of the NBA, Premier League, they give it, all of them teams.
It makes a lot of sense.
So yeah. But at the same time, it doesn't look prestigious at all to me. It looks like someone's bedazzled a W. And it's like, you're not even holding gold, it's just a leather belt.
I'll be honest, right? AEW have done it better.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not trying to play the
there's too many AEW titles.
I'm not trying to play the one against the other game, but just the main AEW title. Yeah. Still got a massive AEW on the middle of it, but it doesn't look stupid. No, it looks prestigious. It looks like a title. It looks like a belt, right? But you still got a massive AEW on the front of there.
Well, that's it. Like
there are ways of doing it.
Yeah, I just hate that. It's more leather than gold at this point. So it's like.
And I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad they don't spin anymore.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We had a great time, but I don't want them to spin anymore.
Yeah. Don't spin. So yeah, that was a fun-filled episode of the Ringside Report.
Wasn't it
brand new studio?
Brand new studio.
Beautiful pictures with
the Marktron 3000.
The Marktron 3000.
Expensive bit of kit there.
It was. Look, it glows and everything.
It glows.
It's beautiful.
It's got the Ambilight technology.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Carl spent ages putting all these pictures up on the wall.
That he did.
And spray painting A2theK Wrestling right there in between us.
But yeah, so another fun-filled show, the first from our official A2theK Studios. So let us know what you think of this format. Obviously, this is a show and podcast that started in the pandemic era via Zoom.
Yeah. Let us know, but don't point out that we keep not looking at the camera, because I know.
Yes, it's very difficult to do. We're learning at this, because normally I'm just sat on my couch and I'm just like into my webcam, so it's a very different experience.
Although I still lean slightly, even when I was at home, I'd be like that. Yeah. So I've got to get used to it. I need to be more like this.
Indeed.
I feel like this is like announce team kind of stuff, isn't it? Slammer knocker.
Well, I mean, like as we've been going through this, that's what I've been kind of like. How often should we look into each other's eyes versus looking lovingly into the eyes of our audience?
I think
there's a balance.
Like a 3-second rule, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. when the touching starts, that's when it has to stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks again for tuning in. Just a couple of shout outs as well. So obviously Top Rope we've mentioned. Please go and check those guys out. A2theK 10 for 10% off at topropebrewing.com. Buy our merch. We're on pre-WTs, man. This is what you guys wanted. You asked, can you go on Pro Wrestling Tees?
So buy one.
And we were like, yeah, okay. So bloody buy them then, will you? Come on. And obviously just to the wonderful friends we've made on socials as well. Indeed. Some fantastic accounts out there. Shout out to Cheap Pop Wrestling. So we listened to their episode today. We had a lovely shout out from them. So it was nice. Warmed our hearts.
You know what? Yeah, it really did. And they're just awesome guys. They've been part of the fantasy faction.
Indeed.
Well, I say part of. They set it up.
Well, yeah.
I'm totally discrediting them saying part of. They set it up.
Of the fantasy faction.
And it's hours of fun.
Not for us because we suck, but get on over on Instagram onto Cheap Pop and try and join for the next round because it is a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing it. Indeed,
and we've met a lot of great people through it.
We have. There's too many to name. I think eventually we will, give shout outs to all these people. I think when we mentioned them last week, I forgot most of the names, and I was like, I don't want to disrespect anybody, and I'm just like so unprepared. I don't have to list the names.
To be honest, I feel like not that we're going to try and milk this, but I feel like it'd be a bit disingenuous trying to list them all now for me because I've discovered so many people from it because I can say words. I've discovered so many people from it that I need to check out their shows and what they're about, and like they're cool, obviously cool guys on social media, but we spend all of our time watching wrestling and recording shit that it's
hours in the day, man.
Cheap Pop when they give us a shout out, they mention he I think that week he'd listened to us, he'd listened to a few of the others and had like mentioned some of the stuff he enjoyed, and I'd rather do something like that. So for me, I'm like, there are loads of awesome guys you can find out from our social media, the ones we interact with, the ones we sort of give shout out to, give shares to, and that sort of thing. But this isn't the last time we're going to mention Cheap Pop. It's not the last time we're going to mention the others as well, because as we're discovering them and what they're about, they're going to get shouted out on this show, and I think that's the best way of doing it, rather than just trying to list them now.
There's so many awesome creators out there of like wrestling content, you know what I mean? So obviously we thank you for listening to us and watching us, but yeah, listen to them other guys too, watch their stuff. There's lots to go around.
But honestly, go to our Instagram, you'll see Carl he's our social media wizard. He regularly interacts and shares a lot of the other podcasts, all the ones involved in the fantasy faction, but he shares so many other great content creators. That's the best place to find the people that have sort of been awesome so far with us, and they're definitely, like you say, deserve a listen as well.
Absolutely. I think we've thanked everybody. I think a couple of hopefully cool surprises as well coming your way from the A2theK Wrestling Show over the next couple of weeks. So we'll reveal more about that when we can. Yeah. But until then, here is the one and only. Who should we do? You can help me decide this week. Who should give us a shout out?
You know what? Week? Considering you discovered him, I think let's go with Griff.
Let's go with Griff. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
This is Griff Garrison, and you're listening to A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K.